Imagine this. You wake up one day, your eyes open, but you're not in your room. There's a fog in your mind. You don't even know who you are. Your heart races. Your memory is completely blank. Around you stand people in white coats. Someone is asking you questions, but you can't answer. One injects something into your arm, another shines a light in your eyes. This is exactly what people felt during the CIA's MK Ultra experiments in the mid-1950s. Born in the shadow of the Cold War, this project grew out of America's obsession with the Soviet Union's alleged mind control programs. The CIA wanted to be the first to master it, even if it meant using its own citizens to turn the human brain into a weapon. In other words, to make the most dangerous weapon a human against another human. MK Ultra officially began in 1953. I say officially, but nothing about it was truly official. Secret funds, fake labs, front research centers hidden in universities. Most test subjects didn't even know they were test subjects. You could have been a college student, a psychiatric patient, or just a random guy picked off the street. People were secretly dosed with LSD, subjected to hypnosis, and deprived of sleep. Some were manipulated for days, others for weeks. But it wasn't just about drugs. The CIA also worked on personality alteration, memory erasure, and obedience training. In short, they wanted to completely wipe a person and reprogram them. Today, it sounds like science fiction, but it was real. Some subjects suffered permanent psychological damage. Some committed suicide. Others simply disappeared. At the center of it all was Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, a man who played the role of the CIA's mad scientist. He launched hundreds of secret sub-projects. Some were carried out in prisons, others in military units, and some in hospitals. Even notorious gangster Whitey Bulger later confessed that he had been part of LSD experiments in prison. The project was so secretive that records were kept under codes instead of real names. In 1973, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered most of the documents destroyed, tens of thousands of files burned. But some survived, and in 1975, thanks to the US Senate's Church Committee, they came to light, revealing one of the biggest experimental scandals in human history. MK Ultra wasn't just a science project, it was the foundation of psychological warfare. How do you make an enemy soldier talk? How do you program an agent? How do you give an assassin an order and ensure they wake up remembering nothing? These were the questions the CIA wanted answered. Even today, people claim we can still see MK Ultra's influence. Modern psychological operations, mass manipulation methods, social media influence campaigns, all of them echo the work done back then. Some theories even claim that today's psychological manipulation techniques directly trace back to MK Ultra. And the most terrifying part? We know the full story hasn't been revealed. We may only know 10% of what was done. We still don't know who most of the test subjects were, or the full results of the experiments. Imagine waking up one day. Your brain is no longer yours. Your thoughts are no longer yours. Your fears are no longer yours. This was MK Ultra's ultimate goal, to dissect the human mind like a lab rat and then program it however they wanted. Even now, when we discuss this, one question lingers. Are some of today's events, media campaigns, or political moves driven by the knowledge extracted from these experiments? MK Ultra was one of the darkest weapons humanity ever developed against its own mind. And although it's officially over, its shadow still lingers with us. The real horror of MK Ultra didn't stop at its test subjects. The CIA wanted to take the project global. Some universities in Europe and even psychiatric clinics in Canada were secretly brought into the program. Doctors and scientists often had no idea what they were contributing to. They were simply following orders. But some joined knowingly and could never publicly admit for the rest of their careers that they had worked on secret projects. The experiments evolved. Sensory deprivation chambers were built, where people were isolated from light and sound for days, pushed to the point where no personal thoughts or feelings remained. Some test subjects were subjected to memory blocks. their pasts completely erased and replaced with new memories. For the CIA, making someone forget their own identity was a scientific victory. LSD and other hallucinogens were sometimes slipped directly into water or drinks. People were dosed without their knowledge, left confused, hallucinating, and terrified for weeks. This made the CIA's control experiments even more effective. But the darkest side of MKUltra was psychological torture and mental breakdown techniques. Subjects were separated from loved ones, kept under constant threat and warning, sometimes left entirely alone. Sleep deprivation, auditory and visual manipulation, all of it pushed people to the edge of sanity. Some could not withstand it and suffered permanent trauma. Some projects went so far that subjects developed completely new personalities. The CIA was, in effect, trying to reprogram people with new identities. These individuals became like robots, able to take orders without question. The horrifying part is that many never realized they had been test subjects at all. MKUltra also provided an opportunity to test techniques on enemy agents. Psychological intelligence was gathered on Soviets and Chinese agents, whom the US saw as adversaries. The goal: extract information through mind control. Make agents act against their will. Some claims even suggest that certain agents were fully programmed and had their memories wiped. By the early 1970s, the scandal began to surface. Congressional investigations and journalists uncovered the scale of the program. But the CIA destroyed documents and officially denied the project, never fully revealing the truth. Most of the test subjects were left to live with their trauma alone. The effects of MKUltra didn't end with individuals. The knowledge gained from the project laid the groundwork for modern psychological operations. Techniques used in advertising, mass manipulation, and propaganda were heavily inspired by MKUltra experiments. The weak points of the human mind were identified and exploited scientifically. Think about it. The manipulation you see today on social media, in advertising, in political campaigns, even in certain psychological tests, all of it may have been shaped in the shadow of those experiments. MKUltra wasn't just a secret CIA project. It was a dark lesson in the controllability of the human mind. Even today, the question, what exactly was done, remains unanswered. Most of the documents were destroyed. Many of the test subjects vanished or stayed silent. Humanity learned what happens when we put our own brain and consciousness on the lab table. And perhaps much of it still lives on in our lives today, unnoticed. MKUltra shows us one thing. The human brain, though our most powerful organ, is also our most vulnerable weapon. And in the dark pages of history, this vulnerability was exploited and manipulated. And MKUltra was one of the projects that proved it. Imagine this: you wake up one day, your eyes open,